Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is our Prophets of Awakening. This is our evening Shabbat class, the 9th of September, 2023. I'll be going over the role of the priests and the Levites. Uh, Picking up where I left off this morning in Numbers. Okay. So anybody that doesn't know about this channel, Prophets of Awakening, you can come and check out our videos. We have a lot of information, and these videos connect dots for you. Anyone that's diligently seeking the truth, you can get some answers. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And for those people that feel the need to support the channel, you can go down and check out our cash app on the bottom of the screen. Okay. This is a non-Messianic channel. And by that I mean we deal with the Tanakh, the Old Testament, the so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah, the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by the Lord of hosts, the laws, the commandments. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our evening Shabbat class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, our evening Sabbath prayer, Psalms, do some current events. We don't need to know information. We open up for some Q&A, and then we go into our topic of discussion, which is the priest and the Levite. Okay? This moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and our Creator and all that they're doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore, we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face, looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants, David, Solomon, Noah, Samuel, and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad, for we know that you possess the power to do just that. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments, your testimony, and your statutes with all our heart and soul, and to perform the words of this covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon our people, and hear our plea. Hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. Read a psalm. Okay. Okay. I'll read Psalm 29. It's the voice of the Lord in the storm by David. So give unto the Lord, O ye mighty, give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of his holiness. The voice of the Lord is upon the waters. The God of glory thundereth. The Lord is upon many waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The voice of the Lord breaketh the cedars. Yea, the Lord breaketh the cedars of Lebanon. He maketh them also to skip like a calf. Lebanon and Syrian like a unicorn. The voice of the Lord divideth the flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shaketh the wilderness, and the Lord shaketh the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord maketh the hinds of calves, and discovereth the forest, and in his temple doeth every one speak of his glory. The Lord sitteth upon the flood. Yea, the Lord sitteth king forever. The Lord will give strength unto his people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. So that was Psalm 29, the voice of the Lord in the storm, Psalm of David. Anybody have any comments? Okay, I want to shine a light on something. It says right here that verse 10, the Lord sitteth upon the flood. Yea, the Lord sitteth king forever. So let's look at this. Let's see who it is that's sitting upon the flood. Go back to Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 and 2. It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right? So it's not God that's sitting on the water. Verse 2, the earth was without form and void. Darkness was upon the face of the deep, upon the flood. And the Spirit, the angel of God, moved upon the waters. So we see what it is on the waters right there. Okay? There's something. So, that being said, we'll move on to current events. So I was showing yesterday, or Friday, let me see, maybe that was Thursday, how Mali was receiving weapons and stuff from Russia and from China. So we see now they're doing the same thing with Cameroon. They're gearing up something.
I'm Julia Sondin, showing you where development is happening. Please come and join us. Cameroon Special Forces to receive upgraded Ratel IFVs. Cameroon's Rapid Intervention Battalion, BIR, responsible for the protection of President Paul Biya, is set to acquire a fleet of Ratel infantry fighting vehicles, IFVs, from South Africa. The South African company OT Technologies is in charge of supplying the 10 Ratels and upgrading them to meet modern military standards. The upgrades include new armor, advanced weaponry, and cutting-edge communication systems. OT Technologies announced plans to deliver a set of refurbished Ratels to an African military force. These vehicles, sourced from OTT's own inventory, have undergone an exhaustive 7-month overhaul. It is now confirmed that Cameroon is the recipient of these revamped Ratels. The vehicles are being provided.
Sleepy Joe lovers are not going to like this.
Bilateral agreement between the governments of Cameroon and South Africa. The Ratel, an infantry fighting vehicle, IFV, originating from South Africa, has made its mark in various conflicts and missions worldwide. Designed in March 1972 by Springfield Busing, the Ratel was produced between 1976 and 1987 by manufacturers Sandok Austral and Rumesh OMC. With a total of 1,381 units built, this vehicle has been a mainstay in several conflicts, including the South African Border War, the Western Sahara War, Operation Bolaise, the African Union Mission in Somalia, and more recently in the civil wars in the Central African Republic, Libya, and Yemen. Weighing between 18.5 and 19 tons depending on the variant, the Ratel measures 7.21 meters in length and 2.5 meters in width, and has a varying height between 2.39 and 3.11 meters. It can accommodate a crew of 3, consisting of a commander, a gunner, and a driver, as well as up to 9 passengers. According to OT Technologies, the upgraded Ratels feature a new engine, an improved sighting system, and additional armor, enhancing their combat effectiveness and extending their operational lifespan. The Ratel is powered by a Busing D3256 BTXF 6-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine, capable of generating 205 kilowatts, 275 horsepower, at 2,200 revolutions per minute. This power gives it a power-to-weight ratio of 11.36 kilowatts-T and a maximum speed of 105 kilometers per hour. With a fuel capacity of 530 liters, the Ratel can cover up to 1,000 kilometers. Meanwhile, on August 31, 2023, Cameroon, Rwanda make major changes in their military positions after Gabon coup. Cameroon's President Paul Biya, one of Africa's longest-serving leaders, enacted fresh appointments within the Defense Ministry's Central Administrative Unit, as outlined in a decree shared on social media. The sweeping changes in Cameroon and Rwanda came barely hours after the coup in Gabon, where President Ali Bongo Ondimba was toppled and placed under house arrest by soldiers. Both leaders did not reference the coups in Niger and Gabon in their respective decisions. Soldiers who seized power in Niger in late July have also faced sanctions by the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, although the measures have so far failed to persuade the junta to return power to the democratically elected leadership. Mr. Biya, in a statement posted on Twitter Wednesday afternoon, said he had issued a decree to terminate some soldiers and move others from the country's defense department. Newly appointed senior military chiefs for the army include Ajega and J. Felix, Camdom Lucas, and Nguema Ondo Bertine Bulga, amongst others. Edu Essono, Serge Durel, and Mudio Hervé were among the newly designated officers in the Cameroon's Marine. Meanwhile, on 7th of September 2023, the analysts on Financial Times were asking, where is the next African coup? According to them, Cameroon's President Paul Biya spends so much time at Geneva's Intercontinental Hotel that dissidents routinely picket the opulent lakeside premises to voice their discontent at his 40-year rule. From his suite overlooking the Swiss city's pristine lake, Biya will have had ample time to ponder the wave of coups that have swept Western and Central Africa and ask himself who might be next. Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, Chad, Sudan, Niger and now Gabon have all faced the upheaval of military takeovers over the past 3 years, removing democratically elected presidents and tainted family dynasties alike. It is impossible to say which country, if any, will follow, but deficiencies in the political systems of several countries offer a guide to which leaders are vulnerable, analysts said. Biya.
Okay, so they're trying to prevent the inevitable, but we can see it's a hand behind the scenes that's fueling a lot of this. They're getting all these weapons, try to, just out of the blue, all these countries getting mass injections of weapons of war. Okay. Get another one right here. Let me get it.
Shalom, they also said Korea's president went in with Russia as well.
Right. Yeah, the U.S. is warning them, though. They're on this case. Okay.
President Emmanuel Macron has been forced to make a move after the military junta in Niger ordered the swift removal of the French troops from their territory. The junta had previously given the French ambassador 48 hours to leave the country, which wasn't respected. Paris has been condemning the coup in Niger while backing its puppet, Bazoum. The French had previously claimed that they do not recognize the current junta and that they have no authority to request the removal of French troops in Niger, who had been stationed to fight jihadists in the Sahel. Now, Paris is set to reduce its military presence in Niger. However, France will maintain an autonomous force in Niger. France retains the right to autonomous maneuvers. France is preparing to withdraw most of its drones and aerial reconnaissance assets from Niger, as reported by French media outlet France 24. It went further to mention that some of the resources were no longer needed because the French army was there to carry out anti-terrorist operations. This is no longer a problem, so the French have to reduce the troops there. However, Paris maintains the right to carry out attacks and defensive maneuvers autonomously, with some French soldiers remaining on site. The description of autonomous maneuvers and autonomous force seems unclear and problematic, and the junta will most likely fight back. Even at this point, the French officials claim that the talks to withdraw French troops from Niger are being held with Niger's regular army officers and not the junta. There have been recent reports that more French troops will be deployed to Chad, where tensions have started rising too. A French nurse shot and killed a Chadian soldier, sparking protests in the Fayed area of Chad. There's been a wave of anti-France protests in Africa recently, and the Niger junta wants the complete removal of the 1,500 French troops in Niger. This decision came after the junta ousted French puppet and ally President Mohamed Bazoum. The interim prime minister in Niger went further to reinforce the junta's decision to get rid of French troops. He mentioned how the French foreign minister and the French ambassador had ignored invitations to discuss how to settle these differences amicably. In addition, citizens in Niger have gathered outside the French military base in Niamey, demanding they pack their things and leave their country. Women and children joined the demonstration, telling the French troops to pack your things and go home. A withdrawal from Niger would be a blow to France's influence in the region after having had to leave Mali, where Russian mercenaries have moved in. France's resistance to leave Niger is contrary to what they said after the coup. Paris said that they would end military cooperation and cut all development aid to the country. But it is strange that they now want to remain in Niger. Well, we all know the reason. France is the main benefactor of Niger's uranium, and they buy it at a very cheap rate. However, we made a video showing how the new Niger government has substantially increased the price of its uranium. The military junta has renounced several military pacts with France that had been signed under Bazoum's rule. This could well be the beginning of the end of France in Africa. Do you think that France's description of autonomous maneuvers is not clear? What do you think of...
Okay, any comments on that? Finally, the French is leaving. They have no other choice.
Shalom. Yeah, they want that Niger's uranium for nuclear power. They want to get that and make some nuclear weapons and use that uranium for that. I was looking at a video, was talking about it.
Okay. Okay, so we got some need to know information. Thought this right here was pretty interesting. So
The slave trade was banned in 1808, but did you know that it did not stop the sale and acquisition of slaves locally within the United States? In fact, the sale of humans continued within U.S. borders until December 6, 1865, when the 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the United States. But one of the significant incidents that left a lasting reminder of the horrors of the slave trade era was the illicit shipment of 110 slaves from the Kingdom of Dahomey to the United States in July 1860. The slaves on that ship created what we know today as Africatown, or Africatown, USA. This historic community is located 3 miles north of downtown Mobile, Alabama. In this video, we'll explore the gripping story behind the establishment of Africatown and how they were forcefully shipped to the United States in 1860. The story of Africatown begins with the illegal transatlantic slave trade. In 1860, the Clotilda, the last known slave ship to bring captives from Africa to the United States, arrived in Mobile, Alabama. Despite the international ban on slave trade, the ship, which William Foster commanded, managed to smuggle more than 110 Africans from what is now Benin into America. After the Civil War and the abolition of slavery, these Africans who had retained their cultural heritage and identity established their own community near Mobile and named it Africatown. Over the years, Africatown faced various challenges, including racial segregation, economic struggles, and limited resources. However, the community has preserved and maintained its distinct cultural heritage, with descendants of the original Africans still living there today. But after the abolishment of the international slave trade, how did William Foster ship 110 West Africans off the coast of Dahomey into the U.S. undetected? The simple answer is that there were many vested interests in the voyage. Many slaveholders and plantation owners were already suffering labor shortages due to the banning of the slave trade. They needed a new supply of labor, so they jointly sponsored the trip to Africa, albeit illegally.
If you're over 37 and struggle to keep your tool up,
The voyage of the Clotilda slave ship was the last known illegal shipment of slaves to the United States. Another interesting thing about this trip is that it all started as a wager. The Clotilda was a 2-masted wooden ship owned by steamboat captain and shipbuilder Timothy Mayer. Mayer wagered another wealthy white man that he could bring a cargo of enslaved Africans aboard the Clotilda into Mobile, Alabama, despite the 1807 Act prohibiting the importation of enslaved people. The men wagered against each other and a group of men from New England. Other people included in this bet were Timothy Mayer's brother, Burns Mayer, John Davy, and others who invested money to hire a crew and captain for one of Mayer's ships, the Clotilda. The Clotilda had been designed for the lumber trade and was commanded by Captain William Foster, while the ship was in port at Waidea in the Kingdom of Dahomey, present-day port of Ouidah in Benin. Additional work was done on it to accommodate and conceal the shipment of enslaved people against their will to the U.S. Foster successfully bought 125 enslaved people from the then King of Dahomey, located in the present-day Benin Republic in West Africa, and loaded them on board. He paid $100 each for 125 enslaved people, but could only take 110. While he was preparing for departure, he sighted steamers offshore and rapidly departed to evade them. The ship sailed in May 1860 from Dahomey to Mobile, Alabama. Historical records initially attributed the captives aboard the Clotilda to the Tarkbar tribe, but research conducted in the 21st century indicates that they were more likely the Takba people, a Yoruba group originating from the interior of what is now Nigeria. These individuals have been forcefully captured by the King of Dahomey's troops and subsequently sold into slavery at the bustling market of Waidea. In the early days of July 1860, the Clotilda sailed into Mobile Bay, inching closer to the bustling port of Mobile. William Foster, determined to evade detection, cunningly steered the ship under cover of night, skillfully maneuvering it upriver beyond the prying eyes of the authorities. Being an experienced seaman, Foster had devised a smart plan to smuggle all enslaved Africans on board into the heart of Alabama. While it was dark, he swiftly transferred the captive Africans onto a steam river boat, ferrying them ashore. To erase all traces of their illicit voyage, Foster ordered the Clotilda to be set ablaze. Upon arrival, the enslaved Africans were distributed among those who had invested in this audacious venture. They constructed shelters from the bountiful foliage of the Alabama lowlands, adapting their hunting skills to capture the abundant game that roamed their surroundings. As time passed, some of the enslaved individuals were sold and transported to distant corners away from Mobile. Among them was Radoshi, a remarkable woman who was one of the longest living survivors of the Clotilda trip. She was initially purchased by Washington Smith, an influential man who owned a large plantation upcountry. Radoshi was forcefully given the name Sally Smith. Thanks to the tireless efforts of researcher Hannah Durkin, an account of the trip aboard the Clotilda was obtained from Sally. In 2019, Durkin's groundbreaking work uncovered a hidden truth, a revelation that breathed new life in the Radoshi story. It was unveiled that she survived until 1937, making her the last living witness of the Clotilda's enslaved passengers. Federal authorities later pursued legal action against Mayer and his associates, including Foster, for their involvement in the Clotilda's illegal activity. Unfortunately, due to the absence of the ship and crucial evidence, such as its manifest, the 1861 federal court case U.S. versus Burns Mayer, Timothy Mayer, and John Davy did not result in Mayer's conviction. As the post-Civil War era unfolded, the formerly enslaved Africans on Mayer's plantation found themselves emancipated but continued to work the lands in the delta north of Mobile. They united to form a resilient community that is today known as Africa Town. The place is defined by its watery boundaries, surrounded on three sides by a bayou, 3 Mile Creek, and the majestic Mobile River. Among the visionary founders of Africa Town was Cudjoe Kazula Lewis, who was said to be a chief back in Africa. He was the oldest slave aboard the Clotilda. Another chief named Charlie Petit and their medicine man, the esteemed Jabiz or Java, joined him. The story of Africa Town was also shaped by Charles Lewis, known as Oluwele, and his future wife, Maggie, both survivors of the Clotilda's harrowing voyage. Cudjoe Lewis remained in Africa Town until his passing in 1935. Throughout his life, he recounted the capture, the treacherous voyage, and the birth of their community to various writers who sought to capture the essence of their journey. Among those who sought his knowledge were Emma Langdon Roche and Zora Neale Hurston, prominent figures in early 20th century literature. After the Civil War, Africa Town flourished as more people of the same ethnic groups joined the growing settlement, seeking solace and independence from the watchful eyes of their white oppressors. The community developed into two distinct sections. The first, larger area, encompassing approximately 50 acres, and the second, smaller section about 2 miles to the west, known as Lewis Quarters, in honor of Charlie Uluwale Lewis. Through oral histories, family accounts, and the dedication of community schools, the legacy of Africa Town endured. Africa Town's indomitable spirit manifested in the establishment of the African Church, later known as the Old Landmark Church, which became a symbol of resilience and a gathering place for the community. In 1876, the Old Plateau Cemetery, also called as the African Town Graveyard, welcomed its first burials. The early 20th century also witnessed the construction of the stately brick Union Missionary Baptist Church. The first public school in Africa Town was established in 1880, which later became the Mobile County Technical School. Cudjoe Lewis bravely embraced the responsibility of helping the community adapt to their new reality, despite receiving mistreatment from whites. Throughout the years, he served as a spokesperson, giving voice to the struggles, triumphs, and shared history of Africa Town. His wisdom and resilience drew notable visitors, including renowned educator Booker T. Washington, the president of the Tuskegee Institute. Emma Langdon Roche, an American writer, chronicled the journey of the original founders of Africa Town in a book published in 1914. But it was Zora Neale Hurston who captured Cudjoe Lewis's essence in her interview, and later produced a short film depicting his remarkable life. Although her book about Lewis's experiences and Africa Town remained unpublished during her lifetime, it eventually found its way to the world, posthumously published in May 2018 as Barracoon, the story of the last black cargo. Lewis spoke about the civil wars in West Africa, in which members of the losing side were sold into slavery to Africans and Europeans. He narrated how he and others from his village in Takwa were captured by warriors from neighboring Dahomey, taken to Ouide, and imprisoned in a large slave compound. After the Civil War and emancipation, the people asked the U.S. government to repatriate them to Africa, but the request was turned down. The community eventually developed along the spine of Telegraph Road in the early 20th century, becoming known as Plateau, or its high ground. The area became part of the city of Mobile.
Okay. Any comments on that?
Shalom. When they had the Montgomery Brawl, I done some, research on Alabama, and that was one of the places that came up, right? African Town. And they have it still now. I think it's African Town Heritage House or something like that, or Plantation or something. But you can buy tickets to go visit African Town. So that was interesting you played that, because I had done some research on that, and that was one of the places that came up, something that I never knew nothing about.
Right, yeah. So the thing about it, what baffles me is, how do these Negroes keep on hollering that we from America when you got stories like this? It's crazy.
Yes.
It makes no sense to me. Yeah. Is there something? So with that being said, I'm gonna open it up for some questions or comments. Anybody got anything from this morning or last night or during the week they want to talk about?
Shalom. When we, we're talking about the Sabbath day and how, they changed the day from Saturday to Sunday. The day of rest is Sunday. I thought about the weeks. I meant the days of the week, how they came about, and I was looking to see that was some that was some kind of pagan Germanic Norse thing where they worship these different gods, and they name these days of the week after the different gods. Like the Monday was the moon god, Tuesday was one of the gods of war named Tyre, and Wednesday was the king of gods. Odin was a king that had one eye and was said to be a wise man because he had two ravens. One raven was the thought raven, the other one was the memory raven that always made him wise. And then Thursday was Thor's day, which is the god of lightning and power. And you could see that they took that Thor's because they have some movies, and even you go back to cartoons and all of this, there's this great Greek god that carries a sword, and lightning comes from it, and he's called Thor. So that's some Greek stuff. And then Friday, and this was kind of got me too, is that it was named after the wife of Odin, that one-eyed god, She was a queen of Asgard, and they said that she was very popular, and she was the mother of another god named Elda. And then Saturday comes around, and they named it of a different type of god, as this was the god of Saturn, who was supposed to be an agriculture god of good harvest, and he was the son of Jupiter. And when you get to Sunday, they were saying that this God was again the sun god, and they dedicated the Sunday, which takes you back to Constantine, who had that law put out back in AD 313, the Ide Die Milan law, that everybody should honor the sun god Apollo, the Greco-Roman god, um, on a Sunday. So he made it law that they move all the rest in the feast to Sunday. So
Right, yeah. So it goes back to like I was saying, they go back to the serpent and the sun, and it's because of those people, Adam and his descendants, when he sent Cain away from him. They don't have no contact with the knowledge from heaven, the knowledge from these angels. So everything they see in Most High creation, they start worshiping it because they had no understanding of nothing. So the first thing they did was start worshiping the sun, and they worshiped the serpent. And so you can trace that all the way back to what they call them the Gentiles, which is Cain descendants. That's what they was worshiping. So when the opportunity presented itself, when we was kicked out because of our transgressions, they took over. They attached all that to our scriptures. That's why it lit up so fast, because of everything they put in there. Those people already was familiar with it.
yes, sir.
So that's why it went off, went off like, and that's where the female worshiping coming in at, where they talking about wisdom is a woman, all that is because that's what they was doing. They didn't understand that a king, a woman would have a king, and he could grow up to be a king. They thought they worshiped her because she had the king. But over on Adam's side, they dealing with these angels. They already understood it, what that was. It's like when the sun came, they thought they worshiped the sun because they saw what it done. They saw how the trees and everything and responded to it. They didn't have an understanding of it. Even to this day, they still worshiping those same things. They cloaking it like that's all Jesus is. He's Horus, and Horus is the sun, personification of the sun. Yeah.
Yes, right.
Okay, you had something?
Yes, sir.
I was saying if you do a little more research, I think it's called something like Hellenistic astronomy or something like that, where they was taking that and turning it into days of the week. So that goes back to what we say now as days of the week is really days, DAZE, of the week, WEAK. So when you do more research into that, you see where the root of things come from, which is really Hellenistic. Has
Right.
nothing to do with our language. They turned it into their language, which is really what they call God spell words.
You got it right. And you provoking their gods. Not only the days of the week, but the months.
Yes,
Everything we doing over here, we provoking their gods. And that's why he says, ever since, because of our sins and being cast out of the land of Israel, and his law, statutes, and judgments are no longer in the earth, he being denigrated every day because he's not being lifted up. So every day he's being denigrated until we leave here, till he deliver us.
And
Okay.
that was their plan, Shalom, to change it so that people would be on the wrong day,
Right,
doing the wrong thing.
right. and even in the wrong place at the wrong time, and saying all the wrong things.
Yes,
And
sir.
like I said, evoking you evoking wickedness and don't even know it. Yeah. So with that being said, we'll play this and then we'll go. We're going to breaking down these priests and Levites.
You are part of the solution with your huge potential for renewable energy and clean hydrogen, your critical raw materials, your incredible nature and biodiversity, and your young workforce. You can help clean up global energy systems and supply chains while creating good jobs here and economic opportunities yet that your people demand, rightly so. This is a win-win partnership which benefits Africa and the world.
Almost half of Africa's population still have no access to electricity. Almost 1 billion people lack clean cooking fuels, and this energy gap will only increase as Africa's population grows. These basic energy needs must be met, and meeting them with low carbon, nature positive solutions will meet Africa's development and climate goals at the same time. If Africa loses, we all lose. And if Africa succeeds, we all succeed. Progress for one is progress for all.
But either you won't write it, or you're too cowardly to speak it, because you want some favor here or favor there. So because you can't talk, you are muzzled. I'm not. I'm a free black man. And I didn't come here looking for a handout. And I really don't think you need one. Your problem is that you think you need a handout. Everything you need is right under your foot, but you looking everywhere else for help instead of to yourself and what you can produce for yourself. This is Africa's dilemma. You are parading yourself before the world as international beggars when you gave civilization to the world. Your problem is not America. Your problem is not Israel. Your problem is not Britain. Your problem is your disunity and your dependence on others to do for you what you could do for yourself. So I don't have to come back here anymore to help you. The help is already here. The knowledge is already here. The land is here. The sun is here. The water is here. The minerals is here. Are here. You have some of the finest minds in the world, but they're in Europe and they're in America making money while Africa suffers. Why don't we create politically stable environment and call the children of Africa back home to help build Africa? We are your children, and we will come and help. But don't expect us to come with billions of dollars when we don't have it. We're struggling in America, but you got it all right here under your foot. And you should be ashamed not to look to yourself, begging white folk to give you what you could give yourself. What I said today, which one of these countries is going to give you $20 million? America is not going to give you $20 million. You got it right here. But your disunity won't allow you to pool it. It's your fault. And you got to accept that responsibility. That is why my message is atonement, reconciliation, and responsibility. We got to stop blaming everything on somebody else and see what is our responsibility.
Hello, brothers and sisters, kings and queens, sons and daughters of our mother continent, Africa. We're just chilling here with my brothers, just enjoying our beautiful view of Africa. This is the title of our mother country, Africa. As you see this wonderful view, it's very attractive, very fantastic. And I'm here just trying to look how we can share our views, our thoughts about our mother country, Africa. We want to talk about Africa that we know It's not Africa that has been taught by others. This is our homeland, and we are so proud of being African, and we are happy being African. So, all in all, I was researching many things, especially during the Africa climate summit that we had in Nairobi. But it was so wonderful. And when I hear some of the Europeans, Arabic nations talking about helping Africa, so it is paining me to see that till today we are waiting someone to help us. We are waiting some other civilization to help Africa. If you look this wonderful continent with all kinds of resources, there's no need for us to wait someone to come and help.
Yeah, so if you listen to what he was just saying, that was fascinating about how the disunity, all the wealth and all that in Africa, and the only reason why they are poor because they're not unified. They're disoriented and can't they can't get along with each other, and the Europeans using that as a way to constantly cipher everything out of them. But if you go to Daniel, the prayer that Daniel said, and let's look at the prayer, and this is a prime example of what I mean by the ramifications of dealing with JC and not understanding who the Lord of hosts is. So it says in the book of Daniel, right, it says, chapter 9, the Daniel prayer. So he says, and so we know that who we're dealing with the Lord of hosts. So Daniel says, he started praying, and he says in verse 9, verse 5, we have sinned, and we have committed iniquity, and have done wickedly, and have rebelled, even by departing from thy precepts and from thy judgments. We talked about that this morning. Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants, the prophets, right? So prophets, that's where we get our information from. That's who over us. He used the prophets, and then later Levites, the priests, Aaron seed, and the Levites, and the prophets, they all included in it. So 6, neither have we hearkened to the servants of our prophets, which spake in the name of our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee. So righteousness belongeth to the Lord of hosts. But unto us a confusion of faith, as it is this day. So same thing with us, as it is today. To the men of Judah, to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off through all the countries whither thou hast driven them, because this is why they had a confusion of faith, because of they trespass that they have trespassed against thee. So, O Lord, to us belongeth confusion of faith, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee. So the thee is the Lord of hosts. So nobody acknowledging him. What these people did was put JC in that place, a fictitious character, and nobody acknowledging the Lord of hosts. When the rain comes and everything that's happening is back in the day, our fathers knew, the prophets and all them knew who it was. We're not acknowledging him at all. Like I said earlier, he's being defamed every day in all these conversations. He comes to being defamed. Nobody acknowledging and recognizing that it's him. And that's where I mean, I was looking at Leopold, the king from Belgium. He killed millions of people. You have to ask yourself, how did one nut bucket, million people, let one nut bucket keep on killing them? I mean, how many they got to kill before you do something with him? He killed millions of people, chopping off their arms, and he was molesting them and everything else. I mean, how did one nut bucket do that? To the point where he killed that many people, and nothing is done to him. So that's supernatural. That's spiritual. Nobody did nothing, even to the day. And it go back to what I'm saying. They're not knowing the guy that's over them, you've been denigrated. You're not even included in nothing. Your thoughts, nothing. You're not being applied. That's where our drama is. Yeah, so any comments on that? So that takes us to topic, which I'll pick it up in Deuteronomy. I'll pick it up in Exodus. It says because of its confusion of face, this unity, all that is because we rebelled against the Lord of hosts. Not Jesus, not Yahushua, but we rebelled against the Lord of hosts, the God of the whole earth, the Lord of hosts. So we see when they came out of Egypt, then Yahweh gave us over to him. Let's read that right quick. Exodus chapter 23. So we see right there in chapter 23, there on Mount Sinai, Yahweh is up there, and these 7 angels, the Lord of hosts, his right-hand man is up there with him, and he says, behold, he tell Moses, behold, I send an angel that before thee, to keep thee in the way, to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Then right here, beware of him, obey his voice, provoke him not, or he will not pardon their transgressions, for my name is in him. So we see right here, this is over Israel. And then we see over and over again how he's operating. He's the one that's dealing with sin. So let's look at one of those right quick. Then we go into the lesson. So you go to Zechariah, right? Okay. Yeah, Zechariah chapter 3. And then we see in chapter 3, verse 1, the same angel that he gave Israel over to in Exodus 23 and 20 that led him into the land of Canaan. And he's the one who went before them. He the one actually, him and these 6 angels with him, they the ones that's clearing out the land of Canaan. So it says, and he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord. This is the angel right here. It's the same one that's on the water. And Satan standing at his right hand. Right? So what we looking at? This the yin and the yang right here. The evil, the 2 trees in the garden, which is beings. Tree of knowledge of good and evil is Satan, which is Lucifer. Right? And angel of the Lord is the tree of life. So it says, and the Lord said unto Satan, right? The Lord rebuked thee, Satan, even the Lord that have chosen Jerusalem, rebuke thee. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire? So why is it saying that? Yahweh ain't chose Jerusalem. Yahweh out in heaven. He already got an abode. In the heavens of heaven, 7th heaven, he's already got an abode. This is the Lord of hosts that chose Jerusalem. His angel, Mount Sinai, right? Now Joshua was clothed with a filthy garment and stood before the angel. See that? He ain't standing for Jesus, and he ain't standing for Yahweh. He's standing for this angel. And he answered and spake unto those that stood before him. So it's 6 other angels there. That's still in Genesis 1:26. Let us. It says, and he answered and spake unto them, those that stood before him, saying, take away the filthy garment from him. And unto him he said, behold, I have caused thy iniquity to pass from thee. And I will clothe thee with a change of raiment. And I said, let them set a fair mitre upon his head. So they set a fair mitre upon his head and clothed him with garments. And the angel of the Lord stood by. Right? And the angel of the Lord protested unto Joshua. Thus said the Lord of hosts. So we see what it is. You go to the Lord of hosts right here. It ain't Yahweh. Thus said the Lord of hosts, if thou wilt walk in my ways, see that? Lord of hosts ways, and if thou wilt keep my charge. What charge? The charge we just read in Exodus 23 and 20. Most High gave him. It's a charge he gave him. And the same angel charged Cyrus. He told Cyrus, charge Cyrus, build me a house in Jerusalem. let my people go back to Jerusalem and build me a house. So he says, keep my charge, then thou shalt also judge my house, and thou shalt also keep my courts, the temple, right? And I will give thee places to walk among these that stand by. That's the other 6. So from here, right here is how you're going to rightly divide what's going on with Israel and how we got to the predicament we in. So this angel is overseeing. So just like he was allotted to be to deal with the sin on the earth and deal with mankind, when he came, he chose the Levite, the priesthood, and Aaron's seed. That's why he took them from among the Israelites. Now he appointed them to aid him in dealing with sin on the earth, especially dealing with sin amongst the Israelites. And so that's why Daniel said what he said in his prayer. What belonged to us, a confusion of faith, a lack of motivation, and it's belonging to us. Because at one time we had the mighty one amongst us, living with us. We didn't, that wasn't good enough. So we kept defiling him and rebelling against him till we in the predicament we in now. That's why we don't have that's why all the things happening to us. But he's causing it. And that's what the problem the thing I'm saying is people now, nobody applying the Lord of hosts to none of this. They act as if we got some kind of motivational awareness or whatever that we can attain and get out of this. We can't get out of it. It's ordained by these angels. It ain't Jesus. It ain't nothing else. It's just you gotta acknowledge him. And that's what he keeps on crying out. So with that being said, let's go to Numbers. Where we was at this morning. Okay. This is what happened. This is how we ended up where we at today. So I'm in Numbers chapter. Let me see where I want to start. I started chapter 18. So this is the provisions that was given to the priests and the Levites. The Lord said unto Aaron, thou and thy sons and thy father's house with thee shall bear the iniquity of the sanctuary. And thou and thy sons with thee shall bear the iniquity of the priesthood. So right here we see that it was the iniquity on the earth and the iniquity in the universe and everywhere that the Lord of hosts had, Yahweh had brought into existence, was given over to the Lord of hosts. That's what his name means. So he's the one that's presiding over Yahweh's creation. He's the one overseeing. So when he came down and chose Jacob, wrestled with Jacob and chose Jacob and brought him and made him a nation within to himself, then from there he took the Levites. We read this morning where the sons of Kirkuk told Moses, the burden that you're trying to do over all the people is too many people. You need to allot the burden out to other people. Well, that's what the Lord of hosts did. That's what Midian Jethro did with Moses. He told Moses, you need to allot this out to make, allot it out to put men over 10, men over 50s, men over 100. So that's the purpose. That's what he did. He went and got the Levites and the priesthood and the prophets. They're the ones that deal with him. Like I said, they're the ones see him. They're the ones that they getting information being downloaded to them, and then they download it to the other 11 tribes, the Israel, and anybody else that come in their vicinity. They possess the knowledge. So it says, and thy brethren also of the tribe of Levi, the tribe of thy fathers, bring thou with thee, that thou may be joined unto thee and minister unto thee, but thou and thy sons with thee shall minister before the tabernacle of witness. It says, and they shall keep thy charge, and the charge of all the tabernacle, only they shall not come nigh to the vessels of the sanctuary and the altar, that neither they nor ye also shall die, and they shall be joined unto thee, and keep the charge of the tabernacle of the congregation for all the service of the tabernacle, and the stranger shall not come nigh unto you. So this right here is where he's saying slave. These priests and these Levites is slaves to them. They slaves, but not in a manner that these people done to us. But they slaves. They lifelong service to the Lord and service to the temple and to the goings on in the temple. They bred for that. So it says, and they shall be joined unto thee to keep the charge of the tabernacle of the congregation for all the service of the tabernacle. And a stranger shall not come nigh unto you, and ye shall keep the charge of the sanctuary and the charge of the altar, that there'll be no wrath anymore upon the children of Israel. So that's their job. How you keep wrath from the children of Israel? Keep them from sinning. Make them knowledgeable of his laws, statutes, and judgments, and adhere to them. That's their job. So it says, and behold, I have taken your brethren, to that, the Levites from among the children of Israel. To you they are given as a gift for the Lord, and to the service of the tabernacle for the congregation. So like I said, they're not telling you to do something they ain't doing. Just like the Most High gave Israel over to him. He coming right here. You got the Levites. He got Aaron's seed. He got a covenant with Aaron. He giving the Levites over to Aaron. He allotting the authority out, meeting out the charge. Right? So it says, therefore thou and thy sons with thee shall keep your priest office for everything on the altar and within the veil, and ye shall serve. I have given your priest office unto you as a service of a gift, and the stranger that cometh nigh shall be put to death. And the Lord spake unto Aaron, behold, I also have given thee the charge of mine heave offering of all the hollow things of the children of Israel. Unto thee have I given them by reason of the anointing, and to thy sons by ordinance forever. So let's look at that right quick, because show you how difficult this, how in order, the Most High have all this in order, on the righteous order. So it says, we was talking about this last night, I think, for a minute, the heave offering. We see right here, verse 8, the Lord spake unto Aaron. See that? Aaron, behold, I also have given thee charge of my heave offering. So any Negro can't deal with the heave offering. You got to be out of the lineage of Aaron to deal with the heave offering. You ain't got nothing, nobody else ain't got nothing to do with it. See that? Let me read it again. And the Lord spake unto Aaron, behold, I have given thee charge of the heave offering of all hollow things of the children of Israel. Unto thee have I given them by reason of the anointing, and to thy sons by an ordinance forever. So just not came on anybody find out 2 days ago that they was Israelite. Now they jump up, they want to deal with the heave offering. Ain't how it works. Okay? So it says 9. This shall be thine of the most holy things, reserved from the fire, every oblation of theirs, every meat offering of theirs, and every sin offering of theirs, and every trespass offering of theirs, which they shall render unto me, shall be the most holy for thee and for thy son. So all this stuff around the altar and all that is only allotted to Aaron's seed. Right? So 10. In the most holy place shalt thou eat it. Every male shall eat it and shall be holy unto thee. And this is thine, the heave offering of their gift, with all the wave offerings of the children of Israel. I have given them unto thee, and to thy sons, and to thy daughters with thee, by a statute forever. Every one that is clean in thy house shall eat of it, and all the best of the oil, and all the best of the wine, and the wheat, and the first fruits, and them which they shall offer unto the Lord, them have I given to thee. And whatsoever is first ripe in the land which they shall bring unto the Lord shall be thine. Every one that is clean is thine in thine house shall eat of it. Everything devoted in Israel shall be thine. Everything that openeth the matrix in all flesh, which they bring unto the Lord, whether it be of men or beasts, shall be thine. Nevertheless, the firstborn of man shall thou surely redeem, and the firstling of thy unclean beast shall thou redeem, and those that are to be redeemed from a month old shall thou redeem according to thine estimation, for the money of 5 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, which is 20 gerahs. But the firstling of a cow, or the firstling of a sheep, or the firstling of a goat, thou shalt not redeem. They are holy. Thou shalt sprinkle their blood upon the altar, and shall burn their fat for an offering made by fire, for a sweet savor unto the Lord. And the flesh of them shall be thine, as the wave breast and the right shoulder are thine. All heave offerings of the holy things which the children of Israel offer unto the Lord have I given thee, and thy sons and thy daughters with thee by statute forever. It is a covenant of salt forever before the Lord, unto thee and unto thy seed with thee. And the Lord spake unto Aaron, thou shalt have no inheritance in their land, neither shalt thou have any part among them. I am thy part and thine inheritance among the children of Israel. And behold, I have given the children of Levi all a tenth in Israel for an inheritance, for their service which they have served, even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. Neither must the children of Israel henceforth come nigh the tabernacle of the congregation, lest they bear sin and die. But the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they shall bear their iniquity, and it shall be a statute forever throughout all generations, that among the children of Israel they have no inheritance. So they're going to use something serving right here. Verse 23, as chapter 8, Numbers chapter 18, verse 23 says, but the Levites, this is something serving in Isaiah 53, but the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they shall bear their iniquity. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, that among the children of Israel, they have no inheritance. There goes your servant serving right there. Slaves to the tabernacle, slave to the temple. Says, but the tithe of the children of Israel, which they offer as a heave offering unto the Lord, I have given to the Levites to inherit. Therefore I have said unto them, among the children of Israel, they have no inheritance. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, thus speak unto the Levites, and say unto them, when ye take the children of Israel the tithe which I have given you from them for your inheritance, then shall ye offer up a heave offering of it for the Lord, even a tenth part of a tenth of the tithe. And this your heave offering shall be reckoned unto you as though it were the corn of the threshing floor, and as the fullness of the winepress. Thus ye also shall offer a heave offering unto the Lord of all your tithes, which ye receive of the children of Israel, and ye shall give thereof the Lord's heave offering to Aaron and the priests. And out of their gifts ye shall offer every heave offering of the Lord of all the best thereof, even the hallowed parts thereof of it. Therefore thou shalt say unto them, when ye have heaved the best thereof from it, then it shall be counted unto the Levites as an increase of threshing floor and as an increase of the winepress. And ye shall eat it in every place, ye and your household, for it is yours for your reward for your service in the tabernacle of the congregation. And ye shall bear no sin by reason of it. And when ye have heaved from it the best of it, neither shall ye pollute the holy things of the children of Israel, lest ye die. So that was Numbers chapter 18, which it says in a mouthful when you reading this thing like you're supposed to read it. So I was just reading where in verse 27, starting at 27, it says, and this your heave offering shall be reckoned unto you as though it were the corn of the threshing floor and the fullness of the winepress. So this the corn and the wine, right? Thus ye also shall offer a heave offering unto the Lord of all your tithes. So all these tribes and all these families in Israel bringing all this stuff to the temple on account of the Lord, but he just told us that all the stuff they bring belongs to the Levites. And then the Levites have to in turn, out of all these tithes which ye have received of the children of Israel, ye shall give thereof the Lord heave offerings to Aaron the priest. So only the Levites got to give it. They bring it to the Levites, but the Levites got to give it to Aaron's seed. They're the only ones to do the heave offering. Then 29, out of all your gifts, ye shall offer every heave offering of the Lord, of all the best thereof, even the hollow parts thereof. Therefore thou shalt say unto them, when ye have heaved the best thereof from it, then it shall be accounted unto the Levites as an increase of the threshing floor and as an increase of the winepress. Here we go right here, 31. And ye shall eat it in every place, ye and your household, for it is your reward for your service in the tabernacle of the congregation. So let's look at that, because go back to Baal and the dragon when Daniel exposed what their people was doing. The priests was doing with Baal. They was bringing all the food, and he's making all this food, cooking all this stuff, bringing it into the temple, like Baal was eating it, but they had a secret door. They was coming in there and with their families eating. But God of Israel, he making it a provision. They ain't got to do that. He got provisions for the priests and Levites to eat. They ain't got to come in through no secret door and eat food of the king and all that. Like he said, am I not righteous? Although he's taking these Levites unto himself, he's still providing for them. It's in the law. So like I said before, when you understand just chapter 19, chapter 18, how can you come over anybody else being the servant of the Levites and the priests? Okay. I'll read chapter 19, and we'll close out. It says, the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, this is the ordinance. See that? Order. It's the ordinance of the law, which the Lord hath commanded, saying, speak unto the children of Israel that they bring thee a red heifer without spot, wherein is no blemish, and upon which neither came a yoke. And ye shall give her unto Eleazar the priest, that he may bring her forth without the camp, and one shall slay her before his face. And Eleazar the priest shall take her blood with his finger and sprinkle her blood directly before the tabernacle of the congregation 7 times. And one shall burn the heifer in his sight, her skin and her flesh and her blood with her dung also be burned. And the priest shall take a cedar wood and hyssop, scarlet, and cast it into the midst of the burning, of the heifer. Then the priest shall wash his clothes, and he shall bathe his flesh in water, and afterwards he shall come into the camp, and the priest shall be unclean until the even. And he that burneth her shall wash his clothes in water, and bathe his flesh in water, and shall be unclean until even. And a man that is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer and lay them up without the camp in a clean place, and he shall be kept for the congregation of the children of Israel for a water of separation. It is a purification for sin. And he that gathereth the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes and be unclean until evening. And it shall be unto the children of Israel and unto a stranger that hath sojourned among them for a statute forever. He that toucheth the dead body of any man shall be unclean 7 days. He shall purify himself with it on the third day, and on the seventh day he shall be clean. But if he purifieth not himself the third day, then the seventh day he shall not be clean. Whosoever toucheth, a dead body of any man that is dead, and purifieth not himself, defileth the tabernacle of the Lord, and that soul shall be cut off from Israel, because the water of separation was not sprinkled upon him. He shall be unclean. His uncleanness is yet upon him. This is the law. When a man dieth in a tent, and all that cometh into the tent, and all that is in the tent shall be unclean 7 days. And every open vessel which hath no covering bound upon it is unclean. And whosoever toucheth one that is slain with a sword in the open fields, or a dead body, or a bone of a man, or a grave, shall be unclean 7 days. For an unclean person, they shall take the ashes of the burnt heifer of purification for sin, and running water shall be put thereon in a vessel. And the clean person shall take hyssop, dip it in the water, and sprinkle it upon the tent, and upon all the vessels, and upon the person that was there, and upon him that toucheth a bone, or one slain, or one dead, or a grave. And the clean person shall sprinkle upon the unclean on the third day, and on the seventh day, and on the seventh day he shall purify himself, and wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and shall be clean at evening. But the man that shall be unclean and shall not purify himself, that soul shall be cut off from among the children of Israel, because he hath defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. The water of separation hath not been sprinkled upon him. He is unclean, and it shall be a perpetual statute unto them, that he that sprinkleth the water of separation shall wash his clothes, and he that toucheth the water of separation shall be unclean until evening. And whatsoever the unclean person toucheth shall be unclean, and the soul of that he toucheth, it shall be unclean until evening. Okay? Anybody got any comments on that? So you see right there, go back and look at how significant that is right there. Just this water of purification pertaining to the Levites. So if they don't do this, then their wife, they go deal with their wife, touch their wife, she unclean, kids unclean, everything unclean until they do that, what he told them to do. So imagine JC. Put JC in that situation. He came, and they don't have to do none of this no more. See how absurd that is? Look what he says. He says, let me get it. I start at verse 18. And the clean person shall take his top and dip it in the water, and sprinkle it upon the tent, and upon the vessels, and upon the person that was there, and upon him that touches the bone, or slain, or dead, or grave. And the clean person shall sprinkle upon the unclean on the third day, and on the seventh day, and on the seventh day he shall be purified, and he shall wash his clothes, bathe himself in water, and he shall be clean at evening. But the man be unclean and shall not purify himself, that the soul shall be cut off from among the congregation, because he hath defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. The water separation have he not sprinkled upon him, he is unclean. Here you go, 21. And it shall be perpetual statute, a perpetual statute unto them, that he that sprinkled the water of separation shall wash his clothes, and he that toucheth the water of separation shall be unclean. So this is a perpetual statute. So now apply JC to that. That's crazy as hell. You can't apply him to that. It's a perpetual statute. Ain't there something?
Yes, sir. Shalom. Is it do they have the Hittite branches too?
It's all the same thing. Just they I think they grind it up, cut it up, dry it out, and grind it up, and then they do it in different ways they deal with it. They use branches.
The Hittite branch.
I think it's hyssop. Yeah, hyssop.
Hyssop. I'm sorry, the
Right.
hyssop branch. And then, far as like the people, if they was in war or battle, when the people go to bury them, they have to do the same thing because they be touching the dead, wouldn't
Right.
that? And then how much? Um, so just one red heifer ashes that they would go through, or they continue to um, have
I
a.
think I think you make it's a certain amount or quantity that is made from that one cow. They have to keep doing it to make more of it. But it's got to be done a certain way when you make the ingredients. Like you said, you have to burn everything that's dealing with that red heifer, the dung, everything had to be burned, and then gathered up, and then the person that gathered up, he become unclean, so he had to go and get himself purified. Then another person that's already purified takes over. It's just a and like he said, if this pertains to the Levites and the priests. If you just imagine one Levite is unclean, and he don't do this, he don't clean himself up, and so everybody he touch become unclean. If you don't never do this, that's why you see all these drastic things that have to take place. Take this man outside the city and kill him because of you are perpetuating wickedness. Like you said, you running around call yourself gay, and he's not dealt with. Then next thing you know, you got 2, 3 other men hollering they gay. So he says, cut it off by the root. That's what the stoning is for. Cut it off at the root. Especially with us as Israelites, we quick to jump on any bandwagon they come along with, we jump on it. So that's what these statutes and these judgments is about. To cut off wickedness at its root when you spot it. Is there something?
Yes, sir.
Like I said, if we was back in the day, David and David, Solomon, and Noah, all of them be doing hundreds, two life sentences in the pen. They wouldn't, because if they kept the Most High laws and statutes, they have them locked up. Well, yeah. Is there something?
Yes.
Anybody else?
And I
Anybody else?
and I
Okay.
believe I believe that they would be in, you know, when the Lord of Hosts said to um, take the ones that's not right, kill them all, and if they back in the day, they would not be here today because they would have killed them all. But like David and the rest of the kings allowed them to stay because they were not bothering them, and this is what we have today of the people today because they did not kill them all. So yes, if today's time was like that, they would did they would go through with the whole thing that the Heavenly Father told them to do, and we would not have this problem today.
Exactly. Right. So yeah, like I was saying, it's seeing we that happened even with in the garden. It was radiated out of there because it wasn't dealt with like it was supposed to be. So it radiated from the garden to Cain descendants, then like I was saying, transgressors. People that they got us, we're not perceiving these words and what they mean. You got people on the earth, they transgressors. It's in their DNA. They sinners. They came into existence. They sinners, serpent seed. So we see from back then to now, look how much they done multiplied because the judgment wasn't set. The judgment wasn't pronounced on them. Like I said, look where homosexuality and all that, look where it's at now.
Yes, sir.
It's
Shalom.
all been judged.
Yes, sir. So, as it appears to me that He's giving us time, mercy to get it right, regardless what's going on, because He could have ended 50 years ago, 100 years ago, even 1,000 years ago. But as of today, we're here to get it right until all His people come to an understanding and acknowledge Him. And He has people out there that has not acknowledged Him yet. It could be those who have received the demon spirit of the unwill of the lying, or the spirit of the homosexuality, or the spirit of something, some demon spirit is in the ones that he wants to have. So that has to get out. So the word has to come in, and I believe, and this is my belief, that it's not going to happen to everyone that he has gets a knowledge of him and praise him. And as we are going through this learning who he is and whom we belong to, and doing the things that we should do by the law until we get it together, because he's giving us this time to do so. It could be our grandchildren, our great grand, but he's still giving us time to get this right. That's my take on it.
Okay. Yeah. It's a lot of time. And then when that time is up, it's up. He comes back. That's what it means by his visitation. Time of his visitation. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. Everybody good? So with that being said, I enjoyed everybody this week and enjoy the Sabbath. I'll see y'all on Tuesday for our Israelite Advanced Bible Study at 8 o'clock. So with that, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom, everyone.
Shalom, everyone.
Okay.